Hi, welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and as we imagine what great things are over Marvel's horizon, starving us out, making me beg, we should remember there's still Spider-Man 4 out there and no locked villain yet. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes launching your own website a breeze. The Cosmic Circle has sparked the internet rumor mill back up with some alleged breadcrumbs that this villain might be one we've never seen before in live action, and let me tell you, we've seen a lot. So keep your pants on and remember where we are in the MCU right now. Our heroes are all over the place, the world's separated by teams, and before we see the Fantastic Four or Deadpool on Disney+, we're seeing the Defender saga being updated currently. Marvel literally created a new banner to highlight on-the-ground heroes and villains that doesn't require homework. So what Spider-Man villains have we not seen before that also fits currently with what's happening in the MCU? What would that story look like? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that story will look like and give you my favorite Spider-Man picks we should get. But first, be sure to check out nerdriot.shop to check out the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. You can grab our shirt featuring the best Bubs, Deadpool, and Wolverine, or maybe our latest shirt featuring Madam Web with the greatest line from any movie trailer in history. Grabbing some merch from nerdriot.shop is the best way to support the channel and all the work we do here at New Rockstars. Okay, now let's get into the actual meat of it all. So if the rumor is true, let's cross off every live-action villain we've seen, and I'm talking about Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Rhino, Evil Harry, Electro, Sandman, Venom, Lizard, Mysterio, Vulture, you know them. I'm not taking off the villains we haven't seen like villain yet, because those are little Marvel gold nuggets for any movie to come back and resurrect into a new storyline or build off that we saw last. Now, the easiest target we know, Kingpin's already here and a great Spider-Man villain, especially now seeing as Peter has no family leverage anymore. And I know it's horrible to think about, but Kingpin's first strategy is to hit them where it really hurts, and Peter has no one unless, of course, Kingpin finds MJ and Ned, but as of right now, he doesn't know they are connected to Peter. So this man is like Fisk's kryptonite. Bonus, the rekindling we could see between Matt and Peter would be great, even if Matt doesn't really remember why he represented Peter in the first place. That story is also easy to follow as well. Kingpin becomes mayor and born again, Matt tries to take on Kingpin during the blip, jump back to the present mayor Kingpin storyline, and the numerous attempts at dethroning him by the Defenders to no prevail. Kingpin doesn't work alone. He has goons and a squad of horrible people, so we'll likely get glimpses of his teams like he had in Into the Spider-Verse, and those are the New York-based thugs we love like Tombstone. And I'll call this villain pitch Mayor Kingpin in the Entourage. Oh yeah! I could see Tombstone being the new villain for Spider-Man in the fourth movie because Tombstone lived a life that was like kind of close to Fisk, but his job was usually as the enforcer, so this would be a great time to replace Fisk's old one, Maya Lopez. We saw Tombstone in Into the Spider-Verse in the Insomniac games, but not yet live action, and this guy can be as violent and ruthless as Kingpin. If Mayor Fisk's storyline triumphs and he initiates a campaign hunting vigilantes, that would include Spider-Man if he's back on his bullshit. It would make sense after the events of Spider-Man 3, Peter's now studying for his GED and doing lower stakes heroic shit since the big hero stuff kind of led to, horrible things happening. Additionally, in Echo, Maya blew up the warehouse in a very terrorist-like manner, and that shouldn't be left unnoticed. Marvel likes returning to these big or small events with leftovers, like how Loki's attack inspired Kate Bishop, or Baron Zemo being affected by Ultron and Sokovia, creating a solid villain in himself. The bomb released in Echo could be the welcoming of Tombstone, who always had that look, but the Diox 3 was what gave him his powers. The train car was labeled D9X. If 9 is divisible by 3, we hold the IO, we've got D9X, baby! The case holding the homemade bomb could have released chemicals when mixed with whatever else was in that warehouse, delivering Tombstone his powers. Also, that warehouse isn't far off in looks from the Insomniac games where Peter found Diox 3. So a world where Tombstone is sent to fight Spider-Man in his fourth lower stakes movie makes sense. But if we're staying in that New York thug activity, so does Hammerhead. Hammerhead to me feels like the mobbier version of Kingpin, and we haven't seen him one bit. Though we get teases in Echo that other people are out there trying to compete with Fisk, one of those people would absolutely be Hammerhead. Hammerhead even rose to more power in the New York streets after Kingpin was in prison or just laying low and was almost killed by one of Kingpin's agents. Daredevil and the Punisher stopped him from taking more of Kingpin's factions at one point also in the comics. The internet has speculated this being the best time during Mayor Kingpin stepped down from crime and stepped into politics to take over the underground crime rings since the throne is now open. So Spider-Man 4 could be Kingpin running for mayor and the competitive crime rings all trying to take over New York because Spider-Man versus Hammerhead, possibly Tombstone, and other New York crime mobs, that's just impossible. He'll have to call for help. Not trying to tie this back to Echo, but it would also make sense that Echo sending that bomb was a message to everyone in New York, like she said, that there's a new person trying to take on Kingpin, and the other New York crime mobs are taking that as a major tip that Kingpin is slipping, or they should try to take him down again. So Hammerhead with his big guns and fake Italian accent would be fun to see, especially since our only real mob guy is Kingpin, and we know there's so many out there. If you're a new year, new you kind of person and an online kind of person, then it's really a new year, new URL. If you're looking to get the most out of your site, you should check out Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform platform that provides you with everything you need to know to do whatever you need with your website. Squarespace has templates and designs for pretty much everything. So whether you're making your very first website or sprucing up one for the new year, using Squarespace makes it super easy to customize your look, update content, and add features to fit your unique needs. For instance, Squarespace makes it easy to sell merch. You can design your products and save time and money by letting Squarespace handle production, inventory, and shipping. And if you're selling any other kind of physical goods, digital goods, or even a service, Squarespace makes it easy to build your storefront and grow your business. Just head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/newrockstars to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Another big villain people want to see and could still work with the Mayor Fist storyline is Scorpion. Now, he had a small little appearance in Spider-Man Homecoming in prison. We know Kingpin went to Rikers, and I don't know exactly where Adrian Toomes and Scorpion are, but they both could be in the same prison for bad boys with Kingpin. One of my favorite takeaways in Spider-Man 2 and the Insomniac games is Peter Parker's biggest fear is all the men he put in prison escaping, and Kingpin's out of prison somehow. So we could play Spider-Man 4 with Scorpion being enlisted by Kingpin to take out vigilantes. Or Scorpion could escape prison and be ready with other convicts to go after Spider-Man, which could traumatize our boy because he couldn't take them all on by himself. Even into the Spider-Verse, he had a team. My favorite, and this villain could go both ways, like a hardcore villain or like a good guy working along Fisk during his political campaign and then turn into a major villain, is Mr. Negative. Mr. Negative, aka Martin Lee, is a super rich philanthropist, so he looks great on paper. Just, not to me, because I hate billionaires. He owns a soup kitchen, Feast, which we see in No Way Home, and gives to the needy because he's such a great guy. But he's also living a double life, one as Martin Lee and another as Mr. Negative, who was just a crime boss and horrible person. He even got into politics in the comics, and folks fought to be endorsed by him because he had so much sway over the people. Back to No Way Home, we saw Aunt May volunteer at Feast to help people, and in her passing, I could see Peter taking that statement to heart and feeling close to May in a way, helping at the nonprofit. He's also alone, and I bet there he meets sweet old Martin Lee, and he says, "Swell guy, major charitable helper for the community," and then he's endorsing Wilson Fisk, the monster of New York. Well, maybe he doesn't know Wilson Fisk is a bad guy. He is a bad guy, and so is Martin Lee, and Feast is a front for his horrible engagements in underground crime activities. So it's up to Peter to stop him, and once he does, at the end of Spider-Man 4, that sets off Kingpin, who sends other people after Spider-Man, though luckily he has the Defenders backing him up. Martin Lee can have a ton of different storylines that lead to different outcomes. In the video games, he had a pretty great heel turn, eventually helping and supporting Miles after killing his father. Still, love the storyline of a really rich philanthropist doing horrible shit behind closed doors like every super rich philanthropist. They say they want to get dark in the MCU, then make it dark. This storyline also brings attention to Peter's emotions after the events of No Way Home. He's alone, lost his family, friends, and education. I bet he feels guilty, and it's probably eating him up inside. So I want to see my boy find some sort of outlet or new friends to help him, which he can find in the Defenders, who have all lost something, or even just helping the community again, seeing that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man that we all used to love. This would be a great introduction to another villain. I would love to see Black Cat. I just love Black Cat. Who doesn't? She's cool as hell. If MJ and Peter are no longer together, maybe this is his way of moving on, and I will probably be murdered for saying that on camera, which is okay. I'm just theorizing. Regardless, Black Cat has made many famed appearances over Spider-Man's career, but not in the live action sense. So this is all just wishful thinking. Would she be the main villain of Spider-Man 4? Probably not, but be introduced? Possibly. I mentioned the mental stress Peter's probably left with, and Black Cat might be a great friend in those regards, and they are both heroes and can defend themselves. He'll never have to worry about losing another person. The story for Black Cat would also align with the Wilson Fisk storyline. Black Cat could be a burglar working for Wilson Fisk. I'm sure Maya wasn't the only orphan little girl on his payroll. Or she could simply work with her dad, who's involved in underground crime ring in New York. And then one of the many disturbances Peter walks in on to save the day is actually a young woman, Black Cat, robbing a home. They fight, she escapes, and like Catwoman to Batman, they see each other and give friendly advice as light enemies, and it's a dance that turns into a romance. Now that's my take because I love enemy to lover stories, but I'm sure Marvel will try to give her a reason for not wanting to be a villain. One that I think would be cool but not as crazy would be Prowler. Now I think Prowler would be fun, but the direct impact of bringing Prowler into this world also brings in Miles. If we already have Donald Glover alluding to being Prowler in the first Spider-Man movie, then we see him in Across the Spider-Verse, we might as well start sowing the seeds for Miles, since Electro mentioned a one-off line about a black boy Spider-Man somewhere in New York. Good things coming through, so I expect to see him soon. If Prowler appeared as the villain in Spider-Man 4, it would probably be under the same guise as Into the Spider-Verse, so working directly for Wilson Fisk. He mentioned working for Scorpion in Homecoming, but he was too crazy and left. I could see sometime after those events he starts working for Kingpin. He's then given the equipment, or he works under another crime boss who's out for Kingpin's free territories after running for mayor. So if Prowler were in Spider-Man 4 and the villain, we'd probably see him working for Fisk as an enforcer and given his equipment from Fisk, who has a fun new gadgets in the MCU. To be fair, I've not included some villains like Null because I think this is a big villain on its path in the Sony Marvel universe. It might be a villain we don't touch as they're prepping for the beef between the symbiotes, but after Thor Love and Thunder introduce the Necro Sword and we have Venom recognizing Peter on the TV in the mid-credit scene of No Way Home, it feels likely we could be bridging that relationship between Sony and the MCU with Null. I think my only hesitation personally is I've seen the MCU wipe out massive gods with a swift glance, and Null shouldn't be that easy to beat. Null would have to be a phase villain, and I don't see that coming anytime soon, since we're still gearing up for Fantastic Four, mutants, and figuring out what to do with Kang. Hobgoblin's Ned is another character people want to see return as a villain. Luckily, since the MCU doesn't go completely comic book accurate, we might not get to see Hobgoblin Ned. I say luckily because I don't think the story is quite there yet of someone brainwashing Ned or even Ned making a heel turn suddenly. I don't think people want to see an evil Ned the way we saw an evil Harry. I like the storyline better without making Ned a villain. Letting him just go to school and the loans naturally turning him into one is just more realistic and justified. I would like to see Hobgoblin. I think there's a story where after the events of No Way Home, the millionaires who fund the scientists of New York find some lingering evidence of the spell that wiped everyone's memory of Peter Parker, and Roderick Kingsley, the dangerous millionaire, becomes enamored and obsessed with what he knows of the Green Goblin and becomes the Hobgoblin. This would still feed into the Wilson Fisk Mare storyline, as Fisk is the heart and center of all of this. You let me know who you think will be the ultimate villain for Spider-Man 4. We know it's probably Kingpin, but Kingpin and New York have a ton of crime leaders. Think outside of the box, put Mr. Negative in, because that's all I want. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Lulu_Clemons. Follow New Rockstars and subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love. Check out the break room and the deep dive. Okay, I'll see you guys later.